bad word here, guys? The bad word, this track. What happens when you have so many helpers? 100 students doesn't mean 100 help, does it? One day I went actually to my school and I saw one class, like 25, 30 students, but 4 instructors. Like, I freaked out. Right? That's distraction. So, volunteers is great, but make sure there are volunteers that do things. There are volunteers that are waiting to do things. They're not doing anything. They may be taking the course of learning things. In case this guy leaves, he follows up. In case she leaves, he comes in her place.
So have like an alternate.
Always. Yeah. So bench strength doesn't mean always people should be doing something. Maybe people are learning something. Now back to your first question, when he had a good question, says, so if it's 2 people, what do one person do and the other? In a small organization, in general, people do everything. It's a good thing that way. And this is how you're efficient. For example, you teach classes, they do program directing. So that's a good thing if you can do that. But what happens when one person teaches every single class? They burn out. I don't want to use the word, it's a bad word. We never use the word bad. They burn out in martial arts. But they get tired. They're not effective, right? They can't teach a great class. So what you do is say, okay, why don't you change some of your jobs? Sometimes do this, teach these classes, and I take care of the front desk. And sometimes you teach, and I take up the front desk. But it doesn't have to be 50-50. It could be 20-80. But the great instructor always must teach the higher ranks. So if you have 100 students, 15 new, 50 black belts, the best instructor is going to teach which groups? Black belts. Do you know why? Because the white belts are watching. Right? They say, I'm going to work towards being in that class. Right? So they're going to look forward to that. Don't put always your instructor teach the white belts, and then the other one's teaching the higher belts, right? Did that answer?
That's great.
Okay. So a small organization, you really, people could have multiple jobs, but again, the job position needs to be specific. You come Mondays, this is what you do, this is what you do on Friday, not whenever, whatever. Whenever, whatever is not a business. What is it? I don't know what it is, right? It's nothing, it's no good. Like, you have to systemize everything you do in school. It has to be very clear to people what the position is, what are the expectations, and what the results are going to be like. Yes, go ahead.
I love the last part of the presentation when you spoke about trust, honor, and relationships. Sharing a little bit of my personal challenge. I managed 2 schools, so I went on that route, and I'm pretty satisfied with what we have achieved so far, but I'm also hungry for growth on both locations. But I have another full-time job, which is helping to manage Gracie Bar. So I don't have time available, or too much time available to invest in building a relationship with my team members. From what I heard from you, you had a similar path because you were a school 101, so you still are the head instructor and you're now CEO of Champions Way. So I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on how, with the minimum time that you have available, how exactly you build relationship with your team members at your location, if that's still happening.
That's a very good question, but I'm going to ask you a few questions first. How many people you directly manage?
At the school level?
Both.
About 10 people.
Total of people?
10.
10, okay. So the first thing you want to do is reduce that number to 5. It's impossible to develop great relationship with more than 5 people, right? The busy life and your own life, and so it's tougher, right? What you want to do, you want to build a pyramid, right? And every time you step 1, you have to develop people underneath you. So what you're talking about, you've gotten to the next level of organization, which is very tough and hard actually. So you need to do new learning, which is going to be different than running a martial arts, right? And this new learning is develop people who can manage one school and another school, they develop relationship with the people in those schools, not you. So now you have 2 people here. And then you develop relationship, maybe 2 or 3 people in the organization, so now it's 5. If you, again, these are rules of thumbs, right? Like I've developed relationships with more than that as well, but at least 5. 5 is a good number, right? As soon as 6 is okay, 7 is okay, but as soon as it grows more, like you lose touch, you get distracted, and then it's hard to develop a great team. Right? And when you don't do that, usually, especially in an organizational martial arts, it breaks down. Look at all these great organizations that has developed. They grow, then it breaks down. Because that relationship is not there. That the piece that is very important is not there. But great question. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that was great. Now, just to finalize what exactly do you do with those 5 people that you can actually develop? If that's the number,
yeah.
What exactly do you use? Like staff meetings, or you spend weekends with them?
Yeah.
What exactly happens there?
Yeah, we do that, right, John? You come to my house, we eat together, right? I will cook something, right? So John would be a good person to answer that question. So
the one question I get asked the most by everybody I've worked with is, when are you going to start your own business? When are you going to go out on your own, John? And I said, as long as this guy's heart's beating, never. The reason why I'll stick by him for the rest of my life is he found a way to combine the lessons of business with lessons of life. So when we have meetings, it's not in the office. He brings me to a coffee shop or to his house. And I'm, bringing all my notes. I'm freaked out that he's going to be unhappy with the stats. And I sit down and I'm just getting ready to get hammered. And he says, how's your son doing? How's Mariko doing? And then I look and I see, this is a human being I'm speaking to, not my boss. So, Professor Flavio, if you can layer into every one of your meetings with your teammates, at least 20 or 25% of that meeting is not about business, it's about how are you doing? Are you okay? He's helped me in my personal life with investments, with all kinds of things I didn't know how to do. And that's where the leadership becomes 360 degrees, because I'm following him on all levels. And one other thing to add about what's made me follow him forever is not trying to be perfect. There's been many times where he said, John, you're better at these things. What do you think we should do? And what does that do to you when you're asked by your superior what you think? It's just compelling.
And it's so true. And it's been time that actually I pushed him so much that John's gotten to a point that he says, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Right? I've
Once a
seen
year,
that.
I tell him.
At least he does that. He said, I know in his heart, in his mind, when he's thinking that I'm so pissed off, I want to punch you in the face. Right?
And he punches hard, by the way.
And then he goes home and he comes back the next day, we'll talk, we'll sit down. But again, he's so right. We talk about the things that we don't get along with versus how the business is going, right? It's developing a relationship, you all know how. I don't think we need to talk about that. You know how, right? The biggest thing part of a relationship development is, first, most importantly, is caring, right? Like I get upset if you have to come every day come to work at 9 and leave at 6, and he never leaves at 6 and 7, and he's got a newborn. He's like, he's got sons, and he wants to see. So I told him last time, I said, you know what? You should come to work at 10. Please spend some time in the morning, because I know this is a good time. Right? All you have to do is care. And you are caring people, because you're helping all these students to become their best. If you weren't caring, they wouldn't come to your school. Right? They wouldn't. If you weren't caring, you wouldn't be a teacher even. The teachers are the less selfish people in the world, because they're trying to give everything they've got. Right? For what? It's not about the money, $100, $150. You're giving it because you love to do that, because you care. You want to see your students succeed. And that caring comes far away. It goes greatly with developing a relationship. If you've done it with 100 students, 200 students, it's going to be a piece of cake to develop that with 5 people. Definitely. Yes.
May I add something?
Yes.
As a result of what he's done with me, what do you think I do when he does something really awesome with me? I copy it, right? I copycat it. So with guys like Travis, guys like Kobe, when we have a meeting, if it's in the office or it's out of the office, again, it's not about business for the first 10 minutes. It just can't be. So If you exude those kinds of things with your staff, they are going to copy you. That pyramid he talks about, that's how it happens. It's not something that you schedule and you plan, you write down what you're going to do. You just treat people how you'd like to be treated, and amazingly enough, the people that follow you are going to do the same thing to the people that follow them. That's all I can add.
Thanks, John. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Gavin Espinosa, and I have a first of all, I want to touch upon a topic that you mentioned. You mentioned two things: being a business school owner or teacher, and being a martial arts business owner. A
school owner or a business owner?
Yeah, a school owner versus a business owner. And as I evaluated and tried to analyze my own assessment as to which position did I play, and I think I might speak for a lot of us. I think we've played both hats on some level of that experience. And there are times I have a very strong ambition to be a very successful business owner. And just like our love for martial arts, we tend to maybe be our own Achilles heel by falling back into our love for being a martial arts teacher. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on those two topics on what's best if we certainly want to afford that idea that we could be a business owner because we get to teach, not because we have to teach. And then at the same time, we still just love to teach. What's a better role? I'm sorry, my question is not so clear, but to be a really good business owner, what is the best way we position ourselves within our school, if that's what we make a decision to do?
Great question.
Knowing that we want to teach.
Yeah, of course. If you like to teach, but you still like the business side of it too, there's nothing wrong with that. We have many passion, right, about many things. We're involved, some people are involved into reading and writing. Tom Callis left his schools to go write, right? He said, I want to be a writer. I know he loved to teach martial arts too. And he had the schools and he was very successful with lots of students. Sold schools and said, no, I want to be a writer. So as we grow in our lives, we want to be so many things. Maybe sometimes for some of us, it's not just to be one thing, we want to be many things. But yet we have passion in some other things like sports, like teaching martial arts. And it's okay to be able to separate the two. Definitely you can be a martial arts business owner and a martial arts school owner. But if that's who you are, it's what you never go to 2 locations. Never go to 3 locations. Because you will lose one of them. And if you are a school owner, you want to be a school owner martial arts, and these are not just fact written on the wall, like obviously that's the truth, but you have both passions in both, right? Is stick with one school, love teaching, continuously do that because you're so great at it too, and students are enjoying it. Stay in one location, do the business as well as this. But if your goal is to be more of a teacher, find somebody to help you with the business side, right? Because you cannot want everything in life, can you? You gotta choose, right? You can't say, I want to have 500 students, but I want to be just a martial arts school owner and just teach martial arts. Good luck. Impossible. You must learn computers. You must learn fan pages, right? You gotta learn the social side. You gotta be involved because you're the one. You're the owner. You can't send the student of yours to go learn the stuff. Come to me. It won't work, right? We've seen it many times. It won't work. You need to go learn a little bit of everything so you know what's going on, right? And then allow people to those positions to do those things. But you cannot close your eyes and say, he handles that for me. Who are you, Microsoft? Right? What do you mean he handles that for me? Nobody can handle anything for you, right? You must know, as an owner, everything about your business. Everything from systemizing it, from your website, from teaching a great class, from accounting part. There's no one's going to do it for you. You need to know how. You need to know a little bit at least so you're educated about it. Because I've seen so many school owners and when their students, they do things, they have no idea what they're doing. But then they can't take advantage of their credit, which can bring in lots of students. But yet they're spending money on advertising. So you need to know a little bit of both, but keeping the passion of teaching martial arts and having the passion to grow your business to be 200-300 students is definitely possible, right? You're doing it, and it's great. You can do it. But if you want to go to 2 or 3 and 4 and 5 schools, that means you definitely have passion to a lot of students in the business sense, right? Then what you should do, make your teaching your hobby, right? Like Sean asked me to teach the class how often? At least once a month, right? I used to teach, and I did that very slowly. I started teaching many classes, then few, then only twice a week, only black belt. Then from twice a week, I went to once a week, right? And then from once a week, it wasn't long ago, maybe like last year, right? I'm no longer teaching. So maybe every 3 months now. I go there, everybody comes together, and I do a seminar, right? At least every 3 months. But I do participate in all black belt testings. So it's the passion, so it's going to stay there, right? But can I spend like 100 hours of my time there? And what happens to like the 60 staff champions way, right? Like it's impossible, right? Like it won't work. You can't do both. So a distraction is not a good thing. It's going to make you very unhappy. You're going to put lots of hours, and then little result, and you're not going to be happy, right? How old are you? 39. Wow. You look younger. No white hair. You must be doing something right. So, you know, you can still put like 10, 12 hours, but what's going to happen when you're 50? Right? Honestly, I used to work like 12 hours, 14 hours. It's nothing like this. It's okay. Now, I'm 46, turning 47. You know, like 8 hours is enough for me. Honestly. Don't tell me 8 hours in 1 minute. Right? Just 8 hours. I don't want to work more than 8 hours. Right? Because life is so nice and so enjoyable that you want to make sure that you enjoy all of it. And you can, if you're systemized, if you balance your life in a way that you can do that. And just you have to do it. Get away from distractions. Recognize distractions. So maybe that's a takeaway, guys. Maybe you should write that down. Go to your school, write down what are the distractions, write them down, and say, this month, I'm going to get rid of these distractions. And you know how distractions are? They want to get you in. Like, it's cool. Like, say, I can do this and make a little money here, you know? But then it's like you're making more here, but that's a distraction. It's hard to make a decision. Stop. Focus on what's important. And this is how you grow. You focus on what's important. Right? Stay away from distractions. Go ahead.
Our school has, our Jiu-Jitsu program has an average of 5 to 6 different classes with between 4 and 5 classes a day. I find a little hard to teach all the classes myself, considering every class, and I have an average 15 to 20 students. So besides teaching the classes, of course, there's the management side as well, which gives me, you know, between 7, 8, 9 hours, depending on the day. But at the same time, I also have a hard time delegating, responsibility to not just to the staff, but I mean to the assistant instructors. You know, with the fear of losing value on the class. So even though I've never had a complaint, you know, I always take into consideration what the parents, how the parents will feel, or how the students, you know, will feel.
Stop. I am you. I've been there. I know exactly what you're saying. When you teach a class, is there anybody else beside you standing?
No.
That's wrong. You want to grow a team? How do you teach someone to become like you? They have to shadow you. All the time somebody needs to be shadowed. Right? And yes, there will never be you. But trust me on this. When I left my school completely, I had about 530 students. When I left completely, it went down to maybe 490, 480. Now they're back to 440. Right? So then I started thinking, actually felt bad. Right? So I wasn't that good. Right? You were work coming for me. That's a wrong way of looking at your martial arts. People shouldn't come for you, personally. People should come for your curriculum, for your system, for the value your martial arts school offers. And that value could still be taught if it's not you. But in order to do and transfer that knowledge to someone else, it's not easy. It's one of the hardest things in life, right? To delegate and to teach. But what you have to do is reduce your expectation that they will be you, because they'll never be you. But if they are 50% of you, it's good enough. Because then you make 2 of them. Right? And that makes 100% of you. Right?
But
At the same time, learn how first they know how. Right? You don't let anybody out there teach. What we do usually in our school, every time that I want to get a higher class to someone else, somebody's standing there and teaching beside us. For years. Always teaching beside us, helping. So these people are hearing you. They know how you correct someone, how you speak, how you actually take them through. They're going to learn. Right? People who are passionate about the martial arts, they're going to learn. It's not going to be hard, actually. They'll learn, and then one day, you do a panic training. You call sick. Right? And the assistant instructor says, you are the teacher. And they would freak out. What am I going to teach? How am I going to do this? I don't know how. So I don't know. It's up to you. Right? I call it panic training. When I put them into something, they have no idea how. They think they don't know, but they do know. So if a student wants to jump, he doesn't know he can jump 10 feet, he jump 5 feet, and I said, no, if you don't jump 10 feet, you will never get your black belt. Get your ass out there and kick. Right? Then he fails 10 times, and his hands are like shaking, freaking out, he's killing my kid, But this crowd gives this energy all of a sudden to this kid that Hayden Johnson does the greatest thing on his black belt test. And people say, wow, that is the power of martial arts. That you can't find anywhere else, right? In no Harvard school. You get someone to do something that he thinks he can, but you think he can. You can transfer the exact same thing to your instructor. Right? Teaching a front is not hard. Just go get a staff member of a hotel right now, bring them up here. I teach them to teach the greatest front kick ever you've ever seen. Right now. Right? Seriously. But our success story is Sean, right? Sean wasn't a martial artist. I went to a basketball play one day with this guy, and I said, this guy's just jumping and playing great basketball. I said, wow, this kid is good. Right? So I knew that he's got that athletic, he's good at coordinating his body. I said, okay, he's probably in his 20s, like early, right? So he started doing martial arts, and immediately, no belt, he started doing introductory lessons. Right? No belt. And I prefer the people who teach introductory, instead of giving them a yellow belt or white belt, say no belt. Right? Just no belt yet, because I'm not ready yet. Then he went through the program. He was one of the fastest guys to his black belt. We never give less than 6 years black belt to anyone, at least 6. So he got it like, I think, 3 or 4 years. And he's managing one of the largest schools in Canada. And it's hard to operate such a large school. And he's doing it all by himself. Right? The operation, the marketing, the accounting, the bank account, the this, all of it. So it's hard to trust people can do it, but if you put the same trust you put in your students, and then you see the result, you do the same thing with your staff. I hope that answered your question.
When you're transitioning from that martial arts teacher to the business owner piece, we're involved in a lot more webinars, phone conferences, all of that part. How does that relate when you're looking at the ratio of one staff person per 100 students? When you're making that transition, where do you fit into that?
So let's get to detail. How many students?
We've got an active count of 225.
So 225, and then one person does what?
We've got our main instructor, who's the head of all the instructors.
Okay, so how many full-time?
One full-time, one at 30 hours, and then I've got a couple part-time that during our height at night to help teach the kids.
So if you put them all together, it's like 2 full-time, isn't it?
Yes.
A little more. But
Yeah, but does that count us also?
well, you're full-time. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
If you're working full-time, you count as one. Yes.
okay,
So that becomes 3. Yeah.
yes,
You're in the right number.
okay.
Because you're 220 students, want to be 300, right? So that's your goal. If that's your goal, you need to have 3 staff. Because that helps you to get there,
Okay,
right? Because sometimes you have to invest to grow, right? not a single dollar. We lose money on these shows, right? But why do we do it?
So take it back and grow.
Yeah. Because we're investing, right, in our business. So you need to invest, and that's the investment in a staff member, right? To come and be able to take you to 300 level students, right? Because it's almost impossible not having somebody answer the phone like 3 in the morning and grow. Just by that, I can get 2 students, I guarantee. How many people pick up every single call they come to the school? Hands up. Every single call. Every single call. Don't lie to me. Every single call. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shame on you. Right? You spend all this money on advertising marketing, you don't pick up the bloody phone. What the hell is that? It's the biggest thing that I do. If I come to my school anytime they don't answer the phone, like I go red. You can't pick up your phone? You kidding? People are like spending money on advertising and marketing, and they're not to answer. Of course your competitor is going to pick up his phone and he's going to get your student. The first rule of a business, always be open at the time you say you will be. Right? If you close later, it's okay, but you can never be not open at that time. The second rule of the business, every single time, no single phone call that will get missed. Ever missed. Ever missed. At any time of your school. The school operation is open, you answer your phone. I don't care who answers the phone. It could be a grandma. Forward your phone. Somebody must answer the phone. Never an answering machine, ever. Right? Whoever picks up the phone, they don't know how, ask them to do only one simple thing. Get their first name, get their number. Tell them somebody will call them. That's easy, isn't it? Anyone can do that. But that's the least you can do. Do not answer the phone is giving a chance to your competitor immediately. And it's going to waste that $100 you just spent on that phone. So pick up it like this. Every time you don't pick up the phone, it's costing you $100. It's up to you. You didn't answer 10, $1,000. Right? Go ahead. I'm not sure. Did I answer you? Okay.
Thank you, sir. I don't have a question. I just want to thank you for something that you talked about. First of all, I want to thank you for the CWAY experience. Secondly, you touched on something that my heart is always on a soapbox about. And I just thank you for that. And what you talked about, I think, was an important reminder to all of us, is not feeling like in today's industry of American martial art, the power of media, like you talked about, that it's imperative in order for us to grow our schools that we need to assume the most popular thing going on. For me, it's kind of disheartening to see traditional martial arts schools all of a sudden becoming MMA schools, or schools offering programs that those instructors really may not necessarily have the education or aptitude in, but it's like, hey, let me do the quickest thing that I can do to get this thing so I can promote us as being the place to come to get it. And so I just thank you because, you know, again, that's reinforcing to hear you say that. And for all of us, what I always tell people, I think it's important for us to maintain the integrity of who we are as martial artists, and remember the integrity that drove us to going through the systems that we have, and maintain that and just not falling into those traps.
So. Thank you very much. And it's great. It's about teaching great classes. It's about transferring your knowledge to someone else. And it's allowing that students to feel good when they come to your school. Making them see that they can do this, right? Now, who knows if these guys train Muay Thai or kickboxing, they'll be here in 2 years from now. At least you touched their lives. At least you help them with their confidence. At least you build something in them that they've never experienced in the past. So it doesn't matter what you teach, it's how you teach is most important. And thank you for reminding us again. Thank you.
Thank you. I definitely agree with him. What you shared with us has definitely been fantastic, and I know a lot of us have really grown from it, so I appreciate it. I have a question for you. You did mention that you were at around 120 students, you gained 20, then you lost 20. What was it that you changed in yourself or your business that helped you to get to 500?
Great question. I try to avoid that. Because I have to stand here in 3 hours. The first thing I thought when I was 100 students is to open my eyes. There's more knowledge out there than what I know. That's the first thing. I thought I know everything. I'm a world champion who was going to show up. Right? The first thing was, no, I have to learn new things. I have made a movie, a small feature film that I wanted to produce. And I've learned a lot about marketing. I thought it was enough. It wasn't enough. I had to learn the business of martial arts. Right? The business of martial arts is important for you to know. It's important for you to know how to grow a student with ranks. What's the importance of ranks, even? Right? How do you get a student to stay with you for 5 years? It's important for you to know. How would you motivate a student for 5 years to come back to do the same sport? Right? How do you encourage them, motivate them? Is it by giving them everything day one? Is it taking it slowly? How do you break that down? How do you write your curriculum? Right? How do you make sure your curriculum is successful? That they will continuously be motivated? How do you make the first 90 days of your school less painful? So people can adjust to just show up to your school. Right? So all the things that I've learned from 120 students going to 200 students were my focus. Network with the people who are a little bit higher than you. Right? Like if you have 100 students, network with people who have 200 students. Don't network with the guys who have 500 or 5 schools. It's not going to help you. Because they don't even remember how they did it. Right? But talking to the guys who got 200 students, he knows. He still remembers. It's very fresh. It's just last year. Right? But most importantly is, I've learned the business of martial arts. I learned that, okay, in order for me to grow, I had 1,600 square foot. In order for me to fit more students in there, the student can't be cramped. Right? I got to go to a bigger school. That's very important. And where to open the school? Some are busy, some are quiet. It had to do with what kind of marketing dollar I want to spend.